during the few moments that we have left, we want to talk right down to earth in a language that everybody here can easily understand.
Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality. I know you're anger, I know you're out of cult of personality. Like Joseph Stalin and Gandhi. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. The cult of personality. The cult of personality. Neon lights of global light. Then I'm feeling weeks for reflection light. Won't have to follow me. Only you can set me free. After all the things you need to be, I'm the smiling face of your TV. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. I exploit you, till you love me. I tell you 1 and 1 makes 3. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. I'm just a leader and candidate. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. The cult of personality. The cult of personality. Neon lights of love, the wild winter, leading spring back, leading dies. You won't have to follow me. Only you can set you free. You're free. You're free. You gave me fortune, you gave me fame, you gave me power in your God's name. I'm every person you need to be. Oh,
during the few moments that
Welcome to part 2 of the, well, might even end up being at part 3. We'll see how we go. So welcome to, what is this? This is a SCJ, Sincheonji, cult that's moved into New Zealand from Korea, South Korea. Not only New Zealand, but also the South Pacific. Usually, well, as you know, normally they go for the brown and dark people first when it comes to cults. Because as I mentioned in the last stream about this part 1, that a lot of people in the Pacific Islands are very village orientated, very religious, very spiritual, and very connected to their churches as part of their village, as part of their ethnicity, as part of their culture. I mentioned in the last stream about how my travels in Fiji, right? When I was a Christian, how I just showed up at a village because I was like, hey, so you guys going to going to church today? After I'd met the people, and I said, hey, how's it going? Teach me a bit about your culture, because my uncle was married to a indigenous Fijian lady who taught me about the origin of the Fiji, origins of Fijians. Like in the West, you got like Adam and Eve, right? So they have their own what would you call it? Origin story, right? So I got to spend a lot of cool time with her when I was there last time, around about 2014. That's the year my grandma died, so we went to Fiji. I think my grandma was around about in the 80s. And so I got to spend a couple of days with my Fijian auntie. And so I asked her about things. Like I said, hey, tell me about the stuff. I wasn't a Christian or anything at that time. I was just asking her about, like, hey, tell us about stories about your people, And so I found out, very, there's Mormonism in Fiji, there's Catholicism, and this is like all the islands, right? So there's Catholicism, there's Pentecostal, there's Protestant, Methodist, everything, like seriously. So it's very easy to, as a cult, to get people to come to you if you're the cult of personality, right? If you're the one who's supposed to be, the new kid on the block, even though this guy's like 96 years old, right? So let me do a quick, where is it? Let me do a quick, hash, what have you. So this, don't want to go over too much, but there's there's a concern rising about this cult, because they don't just go to people who are just on the street. They go to people who are in other religions. They go after new people, people who are young, don't know where, much about what they're getting into, or much. They're seekers, right? They're basically who just showed up and basically, oh, come along to ours. We know our 96-year-old leader has a secret road map to God. There's 144,000 of us can get in, but our church has our cult has about over 300,000 members. So you probably don't want to get in, but hey, come along anyway. So, all right. So past issues warning over religious cult Sincheonji operating Wellington, right? So this is just this is like about 5-6 years ago, right? So this was recognized way back then, right? Because their preaching is about end times. They're not like about, hey, how do you live as a person here now? No, they're about the end times, So now the South Korean linked group has been criticized across the world for its misleading recruitment style and distorted teachings of Christianity. We looked at that last time, so I'm not going to go too much into that. So let's hit this documentary that was made about this report, part 1. Okay. let's bring it up. Hopefully my bandwidth is working after this. Like earlier we found that it wasn't doing that well. So we stopped around about 6 minutes in, and already found like you know, that is this person who's been like speaking for them, right, has a minder and there's another minder, and she's been asked this question like, hey, tell us about what is your favorite verse, what is a story that really sticks out to you? And she goes, it's about this. And then it's like, she herself brings it up. So if I'm on it
differently now,
if you ask me what's your favorite band or favorite comic book, favorite writer, I would know straight away. And then when you ask me, tell me about that, I'll tell you straight away about that. However, this person who's part of this church or this cult, sect, whatever have you, I wouldn't call it church because really, it's a cult. As we'll keep continuing finding out, right, is that she can't answer. She brings up the topic and the story, and then she can't answer. So let's hit that, and let's go from there.
In Matthew 13, it's the woman with the yeast, that she mixes into flour.
Can you share what the woman with the yeast parable is?
Yeah. So she brings it up, and then she's looking away, and like we looked at the eye contact stuff. Like, I mean, I know you can't always like put your 100%, base it like this is the correct interpretation of what she's doing. But the fact is, she brings it up, then she's asked to dwell more on it, expose a bit more about whatever she's thinking, and she can't. And then she's like,
So can I just pause for a bit?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Maybe it's easy to do parable of the sower.
Can I parable of the...
Yeah, so then she goes to remind her, hey, maybe you should do the sower, right? The sower story is basically from my memory, like 20 years ago, right? Like I haven't been to church. I have, but like that was just watch my niece and nephew perform as musicians, right? Singers in a play. And that was like about 3 years ago, something, 2 years ago. But I haven't listened to a sermon in so long, right? So this parable of the sower basically is the dude goes out, chucks out seed, and some grow, some don't. Some get the water, some don't. Some of the birds come in, take off with the seeds, because if you chuck anything out there, in the soil, birds are going to come and hit it. So some will come and get it, and the worms will get into. I just watched some friggin' slugs in my capsicum plants seedlings I put out. I was like, argh, right? So they're going to hit that. I'm going to have to hit those friggin' slugs with some sort of friggin' chemical, or slug beats, slug poison. Oh yeah, by the way, then she turns to her minder. Yo, I'm lost here. What you doing, man? What you like? And then the minder goes, tell her this story. Maybe that's a better story.
And how what the seed represents.
Yeah, so she's the one who's going to she's the one they've chosen to speak for them. It's like me, like when we're like doing our convention, the other guys don't come and speak about the convention, what we're going to do. I'm the guy who goes up and speaks because like it's my dream. I'm the one who came up with the idea. Of course, we've got heaps of freaking helpers, and everybody's like chipped in and done all the work, and even some sponsors has funded it. But I'm the guy who speaks and tells you exactly what we're about because I know everything. She doesn't. Her minder does. Why the hell is her minder there? Secretive, right? That's kind of like a red flag. It's like if your minder there needs to advise you what to say, why don't you just get the minder to speak? Why you got to speak? Why she's got to speak? Because she's the brown person speaking to another brown person. It's kind of racist, don't you think? That like, because she's of your own culture, then it's easier to speak to them rather than like, well, I have the knowledge. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We can say that.
Yeah, and then as like, remember, this is where we left off. It's like, we can say that, hey. It's like, what? Do we have permission to talk about that? You don't have permission to talk about a verse and chapter in the Bible about how Jesus talks about the sower, the parable of the sower, like I just told you guys very quickly, because that's what I remember from it. Dude goes out into the field and chucks out, a farmer goes out into the field, chucks out seeds, right? And she's got to ask permission about that.
Cool.
Yes, parable of sower. Tell me about the parable of the sower?
Parable of the sower. So in the Bible, Jesus says a parable about how
Jesus tells a story about a dude going for a he's a farmer, so he goes and checks on some seeds. How freaking hard is that for you when I haven't attended a church in years can tell you that? Serious. And I haven't read a Bible in freaking donkey years.
wait, now I need to really think of what the parable of the sower is. I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right. All good.
Okay.
I'm speechless. I'm like, I want to scream, because this is their spokesperson. This is their PR attempt to tell people that they're not a cult, that they're very, they're knowledgeable about the Bible. She doesn't even know about the subject that her own mind are put up as like the easy thing, because she was having trouble with the other one about the East, which I've forgotten about myself. Like if you saw the last stream, I had to look it up. I'm like, but I ain't in the church. I ain't in the cult. I ain't the one who's trying to convert people to the cult.
Parable of the sower. Farmer who took a
We can
seed.
move on if you. We don't have to.
That look is like, I'm screwed, aren't I?
We can move on if you feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Are you happy?
Yeah, of course. Like, being at Shinjinji is the best.
She wasn't asking about being at the church that you're happy. She just said, "Are you happy?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, being at the cult, I am happy."
Decision I've ever made.
It just sounds like there's more to it than just the Bible studies. It sounds as if everything they say and do is very conditioned. It's very controlled.
Yeah, we saw that, right? She's like, "Can I say this? Oh, maybe you should say about that one. Oh, can I say about it?" And then the minder walks off, because I'm sure the minder realizes that this is a bad thing we've just done. I should have friggin' spoken to this lady, because I know what we're doing. We're trying to convince the world that we're not a cult. And now there's a national news, because this is made by the national television station of New Zealand, One News, right? It's on every day around about 6 o'clock in New Zealand, 7 days a week. And this is a special report by them. Right.
Ex-members told us that was their experience. They didn't want to be interviewed on camera, but their stories echoed Laura's.
I had no time to myself whatsoever. So I would get up early in the morning and be in meetings from early morning till late at night. There was a lot of pressure. If you have free time, it's like, why would you not be using that for God? We were made to feel quite selfish if we weren't, or guilty if we weren't putting as much.
That's what I was thinking, like guilty, right? You feel guilty, and it's like, it's so controlling, right? That's when you know it's like gaslighting, right? Why aren't you doing this? You should be doing that. And I mean, I sometimes that's why I don't play games. I like PlayStation or whatever, because I always think in my head, like, I should be writing myself. I shouldn't be wasting this much time. But I got into a point now, it's like I find that, like, if I don't do that, if I don't go in game or play visual novels, I'll get all wound up, because then I can't even be creative, right? I don't feel release, mentally, because that's why people go, well, how come all these older people are gaming now, like in their 30s and 40s, because it allows you to go forget what your busy thing is, your work thing is, and just chill out and just have fun for a bit. And that way, when you go back to creating or working, you are emptied of all that stress, and now you can think through. So these guys are basically, every moment's got to be God, 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 God. Actually, not God. Cult, 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 right?
Time as we possibly could into this work. I think a cult is a high control group that they have a leader that can't be questioned, which Shinchonji has. They have an ideology that can't be questioned, and they have a high level of control over their members.
We must rule all nations in the world with heavenly culture.
Liman He.
That is crazy. That's like what I've been learning about Islam, and I class Islam as a cult as well, right? It's basically, that's what they say. We will control the entire world. So there's no room for anybody else's beliefs. There's no room for anybody else's freedom and ideas, any other way they want to choose to live. No, we will control everything by force, if need be. Well, in Islam, they do it by force. You saw over the last couple of days.
Claims here he's the only one who can interpret the Bible, and teaches that anyone outside of Shinchonji has been corrupted by the devil and cannot enter heaven.
Anyone that challenges.
You guys remember David Koresh? There have been so many cult leaders in the past who said, like, I have the power, right? I am the one, right? So when somebody, like the Bible actually says that, like, I mean, like, you know, if that dude comes and says that, don't believe them. It's in the friggin' Bible, right? The Bible is supposed to be the be all and end of Christianity, of the Catholic, you know, they call it Catholic, but the church, right? The Christian church. So even if anybody else says that, you know, that person's, you know, that's the Messiah, the Bible itself says don't believe them. So this dude there right away is a false leader or a false prophet according to the Bible, which he's supposed to be like basing his whole belief system on, right? But isn't really, because that singular point alone makes it a cult. Goes against everything the Bible stands for. You know, and because like I'm speaking is like that way is because I'm saying that's what this cult is about. They're about the Bible, right? They're about the later day church, Christians, right? Church of the later day. What was it like? It was like the Later Day Saints kind of thing. So it's an offshoot of an offshoot of an offshoot, right? From another cult to another cult to another cult. So it's the wrong place to leave that guy's face on there.
Has been corrupted by the devil and cannot enter heaven.
Anyone that challenges your affiliation or your devotion to the Xinjiang movement, they should be disconnected. And their salvation also dependent on your affiliation and your commitment to the church.
Essentially, that means some people will stay in the church because they believe their family's salvation is dependent on them staying there.
Heresy. If you really think about it, it's heresy. It's like, you know, this is what, like, remember when COVID, when they said, "Oh, you're gonna kill grandma." That's how I was like, "F you." Oh, if you don't get the shot, you're gonna kill grandma. Or you're gonna hurt somebody else if you don't get the shot. I was like, F you, nah.
Affirmative. That's correct. That is correct. It's very dangerous. Very dangerous.
At the start of our investigation in August, Shinchonji was willing to put forward members to be interviewed. We told the church's PR person, Alistair, a former TVNZ journalist, that the story would address allegations and include a range of voices.
Whoa.
We made repeated requests over
They even got a TV New Zealand dude as one of their PR people, as a member of the church. Journalists are supposed to be the most friggin', you know, investigative That's the whole point of being a journalist. Investigate. And they got him. Dude.
3 months to interview Shincheonji New Zealand's leader, known as Christie. She agreed, then cancelled twice and wasn't available for a phone or Zoom interview either. Then, at 10:30 p.m. on October 20th, I received a text from Alistair asking to meet with senior leader Ula the following morning.
We've just met with the Shincheonji leader and they want to pull the story. They're worried about how it will impact their members, and they're also worried about the other voices we have in this story, how it might make them look.
Basically, don't report on us because you'll expose us. See, this is the thing about truth, right? Speech itself, right? If I say that you're a liar and you say, oh, you can't say that, maybe it's like, well, prove me wrong. That's it. Right? I'm going to write a story, and if you feel that the story is, is wrong, then prove it wrong. Oh, but you don't want to have the story told because people will leave, right? Because people will really realize that, yeah, we're in a bloody cult, mate. Yo, these guys are like gaslighting us all the time. They're controlling us. Oh, but no, we can't,
I have really asked them to rethink that. We really want them to have a fair opportunity to represent themselves. And we want you as the viewer to see both sides of the story and for it to be balanced. So they're going to go away and decide, and we'll see what they think.
So this is the free Tuangapapu Free Wesleyan Church of Tonga, right? So basically, like as I mentioned earlier, that the cult poaches members from established, churches in the Pacific and in New Zealand. They don't go and, this what's got apostatize, whatever, go out and find people, out on the street willy-nilly. People just, anybody, they want people that are part of religious organizations already because they're easy to control. If they're already in a part of something, they find, part of a religious organization. So now it's like it's kind of like a Stockholm syndrome. I heard stories about abuse victims who find themselves being re-abused because they haven't felt, or they don't understand what is normal at that point. Like kidnap victims, right? They haven't come to understand what normality is, and so they think this is normal, what's happening to them, so they don't understand. There's one story. There was a movie made on it where this girl, like probably one of the worst cases, where like went from like her parents divorced, and then she ended up with her mum. She thought it was going to be okay, right? The dad's gone out, and he's drinking all the time. He's gone out of the thing. Now she's with mum. Mum gets a boyfriend. Mum now, the boyfriend starts abusing the girl. Mum helps the boyfriend abuse the girl. Then she finally gets away and tells dad. So they take, then they get away from dad. Get away from the step partner and the mum, and now she's with dad. Now dad goes even further. Then she gets out of that situation. Then she gets to a care home, a foster care orphanage type thing, like adoption agency type thing, a group home. That's a proper word for it, group home, right? Then she gets abused there. Then she finally runs away, and then she finds a place, and finally she's able to, realize, tell the new people, now that she's able to find that these are not going to victimize her, that then she tells her story. So it's really sad to see how easily people can get manipulated this way, because they're not getting people who are like established in their belief system. They're, from what I understand, right, at this point, we'll probably find out there are probably other ones, right? But the control factor here is weird, man.
A few of the Pacific Island churches had formed an MOU with Jinjanji, and based on that news, we had formed a few workshops, and a lot of them were quite shocked.
I remembered that comment that was made at the lecture. They said the name of their church was New Heaven,
New Earth.
New Earth, and that was the next red flag.
That's the English translation of Shincheonji, but the church is known by many names around the world, including these. A former Shincheonji leader told us that...
So here we go, right? So this is a New Zealand language, the te ora, the word, right? Rakau. So everywhere they go, I reckon this would be like Peace Youth Group. I reckon that would be right in Africa, because the colors, right? This was probably in Asia, and this is of course in Korea, and this would be in America, all right? Or, you know, any European countries, because it's how, you know, they really know what they're doing when they are changing names so they don't get recognized as such, you know, as like, oh, we got trouble over here, so let's change our name over there.
Leader told us that
Let's go back to this one, sorry.
Names around the world, including these. That since 2019, more than 24 Pacific churches in New Zealand have signed a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, with Shincheonji.
We have visitors, but for some reason that particular Sunday they stood out for me. There were 3 of them. I asked them where they come from, and they said, oh, we've come to visit your church because we want to connect with your church. I said to them, look, I know who you are, I know what you're about, and I know why you're here, and your motives are unrighteous as far as I'm concerned, and I'd like you to leave right now. And so I escorted them to the door. Had I not gone to that workshop, I probably would have welcomed them in, hoped they'd stay. So that workshop may have saved our church in a way.
Why do you think they target Pacific people? Are we easy targets?
Now let's see if what I said earlier about Pacific churches and Pacific people is, if I'm right on the mark, right? Because I'm giving you an outsider opinion about this, because I'm from the Pacific Islands, but I'm still from New Zealand, right? But I didn't grow up in Fiji or in the Pacific Islands. I grew up in New Zealand. I moved here when I was 7, so my idea, understanding of religion is a westernized version, you know, understanding of it, not a South Pacific understanding of it, right? Indigenous people like Samoan, Taqiya, indigenous Fijians. But I did say earlier that I have been to, you know, Fijian churches. So let's see if I am right on the mark about this, about the targeting.
May have saved our church in a way.
Why do you think they target Pacific people? Are we easy targets?
I think we are. We're not easy targets because we're silly or anything. We're easy targets because of our love for people.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good. How are you? It was a goal of theirs to reach out to the Pacifica population, because once one Pacifica person joins, they often bring like their families and their friends, because they have like really tight-knit communities, especially in their churches.
Told you, it's about the village, it's about togetherness, right? I got that one point right. Okay, let's see for what else I got right.
Are Pacific people the fastest growing demographic in the church?
Yes, definitely.
The last time we met with Shinchonji's PR person, you'll remember the church wanted us to pull this story and we refused. But they also wanted me to tell them who else I'd spoken to in the story and what they'd said about Shinchonji. And I refused to give them that information too. But it seems like they've had a change of heart and they've invited us to their temple to interview one of their Bible instructors. They've also promised us the church's senior spokesperson in a couple of days. So now we're heading to the Shinchonji temple in Auckland. So
remember I said that because of their tightness, they're easy to manipulate it, right? But the other sad part here, as we learned earlier, that they that once you're in there, if you leave, then that means they tell you that your family's going to go to hell. So even if you realize you're in a cult, you're so brainwashed that you can't you don't want to leave because you're afraid. The fear, right? As I say, like the only thing you need to fear is fear itself, right? Why should we be afraid of anything? Like cults, it's, they want to keep you stuck in a corner, and they're the only ones. They're the only ones who can take care of everything for you.
Tell me about this room.
This is the room that we have service and we gather.
Do you call this your temple?
So this is like the sanctuary, and it's the main.
Yeah. So Alpha and Omega, right? So Alpha, Omega, so Omega, right? The beginning and the end.
Space where we do our worship, and it looks very clean and empty.
Very Christian in their motives, right? But like, of course, I like always learned in the first part that they're based on Christianity, right? But they're not based on the Bible. It's like a made up thing. It's not actually Christian based, right? It's not based on Christ as the Messiah. It's based on the dude as the Messiah to heaven. That's why you can say it's a cult outright.
In each country,
I just thought, notice there's no windows. Like there's a window here, but like this looks like an attic. No, like a basement, sorry, apologies. It's so enclosed. I'd feel claustrophobic. But this one is like, there might be other ones that are more different, right?
In each country, this graduation was hosted. And it's quite festive. You can see some fireworks, and these are some.
So 144, remember the number, right? There only 144,000, 144K can get into their heaven. But they have over 300K members. And growing. Because they're poaching from, Pacific Island churches in Pacific Island and in New Zealand. So they want a lot of brownies, right? A lot of brownies.
Some of the performances.
Because you get the brownies, you get the whole family, right? That's the sad part. That if you get one of them, you get the rest of them because, look how well they're treating my child. And you follow through thinking this is, and then you find out you're in a frigging cult and now you can't leave. And if you leave, well, the usual cult things will happen.
And tell me about this guy.
So this is the chairman of the church.
Lee Man-hee founded Shinchonji in 1984. And since the church has grown, now many of his followers believe he's immortal and infallible. In 2021,
Look at that. Infallible. That's the thing you got to worry about, right? No man is infallible. No man is infallible. Everybody, and I mean myself, can get shit wrong, right? And do often. The fact is, like, it's like when they say like the Pope is infallible, the Pope's just a dude, right? Every person on earth is just a human being. right? And the fact that they have got to a point where he's immortal, it's like he's a deity now. He's God.
Now many of his followers believe he's immortal and infallible. In 2021, he was convicted of embezzling $8 million of church funds and obstruction of public affairs.
It's usually the way, right? It doesn't take long until you find out that it's the money, right? It's always the money. It's either women or money or abuse or both. Always with these type of leaders.
Is he seen as the messenger?
The messenger, yes.
He is the way to God?
Yes, it's something that all believers should verify as well and check. And
do you believe that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So Shifter says very us and them thinking. Cults are basically that, man. That's how you know it's a cult. It's like, you go your way on. Like we're the ones, right? Yeah, and the word that comes to mind to me is a bunker. Yeah, it feels like a basement thing, and the sad thing here is it's probably end up like a doomsday cult. It pretty much is a doomsday cult at this point. And what happens with most of these cults is like a certain amount of cults was when they get exposed, a lot of crazy shit happens, and they're getting exposed now. That bunker into somewhere there was a Islamic one in I think Indonesia or Philippines that just got caught out. They were abusing children and stuff, like lots of child abuse. And we'll be looking at that some other time. I got to look a bit more into that. But that was crazy, man. That's like hearing about that. And there was a similar case, money. Always money. Because with cults, you really got to give up all you own and give it over to the cult leader. Because they know how best, right? Anytime like you got to give up everything you have, there's got to be a sure sign that something's wrong. Because like there's no reason that a church, a sect, or religion needs you to give up everything and then hand it over to them. Because why should they have your hard work, right? The work of your labors, right? And I mean, like in the Bible, right? It says 10%. It's called a tithe. That's it. It's like taxes, right? Yeah. Yeah, it costs a lot to build a bunker complexes. Yeah, true. But also, here's the other thing, right? You're not supposed to give more than 10%. You can, if you want, legally, I mean, not legally, but like faithfully, right? Let's say spiritually, you don't 10% is all that you're supposed to, right? Because you're already friggin' paying your taxes, right? So why would you want to give more than 10%? Because then it ends up being like what, 25% if you're in New Zealand. That's a quarter of your freaking earnings. You still got to go pay bills, and so normally people you don't even have to pay tithe like 10% to your church that you attend. It's not a must. It's whether you want to. Here with cults, you got to give it up. Got to give it all away to the cult leader. So let me track back here.
All believers should verify as well and check. And
The messenger?
The messenger, yes.
He is the way to God?
Yes, it's something that all believers should verify as well and check. And
do you believe that?
Yes.
So how do you verify if he is the way to God? Because remember, earlier I said the Bible says if someone comes to you goes and there is a Messiah, don't believe them. Right?
Yeah.
27-year-old Jarod, also known as Thoni, joined 4 years ago. He gave up his nursing career to be a full-time volunteer at Shinchonji, New Zealand. Before we arrived, we were given...
This is the thing. You're living your life, and now you got to give it up because you got to be part of the cult. If anybody tells you that your education, your thing isn't, has got to go, your livelihood's got to go, right? And you got to come and work for the church now, buddy. You got to be very wary, right? Because why do you need him, right? It's really weird. Like, I can understand giving up volunteer time, because I have. I remember, like, when I was running youth groups and stuff like that, I was giving up volunteer time, right? But to actually give up your work and totally, this is the thing about cults, is they want total control of your life. The moment you're willing to give up your livelihood, they know they got you. You're done. You're not going to leave anymore, because guess what? Where are you going to go? Once you don't have any money in your pocket, where are you going to go? When you had your own income, your own finances, where are you going to go when it's all gone? Plus, you've already been cut off from your family, who aren't part of the cult, because they don't want. If your family isn't coming to the cult, then they don't want you to communicate with them. So you're isolation, right? You're isolated, I should say. And they work in isolation.
Given a script with questions and pre-prepared answers. I still asked my own questions.
How do you embrace your Pacific culture in a place like Shinchonji?
For myself, growing up in a Pacific family, it's not just your mom and your dad. And for me in Shinchonji, our leaders as well, they're like our parents as well. Sometimes you get the hard word.
I get that. They're not your parents. They're supposed to be your mentors. They're not your mom and dad. You only have your mom and dad. The moment you start treating your leaders as parents, that's when you got to be really wary. That, hey, that, like in the Bible, it says, don't call out anybody else your father or your mother. You only have one father, God in heaven, right? That sort of thing. However, it doesn't say to give up your parents, right? And I've mentioned before, like, some people have terrible parents. That's life, right? You don't want that, but like, as I mentioned in the earlier story earlier about the girl, it's sometimes people are just cruel and inhumane, right? But while you have your parents, you shouldn't be like treating other people as your parents. They should be your mentors, right? Guidance. But it's really weird when this sort of stuff happens. It's, yeah.
Hey, is this the right way or not? But those are also places that come from love.
Do you evangelize?
Yes, we evangelize quite a lot.
Where do you evangelize?
That's the word I was looking for. Freaking hell, that's what I was trying to look. I was looking at before. I just read something weird. Look at this. I'm sorry, but we might not be able to say much about evangelism. Okay. So that's the word I was looking for, apostolizing and all that, like evangelizing. That's what I was trying to find earlier, but I couldn't get my brains around it. So they're very secretive. I just realized that she was about to say, right, as I mentioned earlier, right, in the last part one, that they hunt their prey in other churches. They don't go out and elsewhere like people, like if you go to work and one of your mates is a Christian and you find out that he doesn't go, well, hey, what church you go to? Oh, cool, man. You keep going to that church. If you don't go to church, you go, oh, come along to our church. These people go, oh, you go to that church, come to our church. We know better. We got a leader who's going to tell you how to get to heaven.
Like, they come from love.
Do you
evangelize?
Yes, we evangelize quite a lot.
Where do you evangelize?
I'm so sorry.
yeah.
Control, right? Just like the lady in the earlier one, in the first 6 minutes, right up here. This one. I'm sorry, but we might not be able to say much about evangelizing. That's the most important part of the whole, like, of being a disciple, right? Once you come to God or you come to Christ, you go and tell other people. And she's here saying, I don't think we want to tell them how we do this stuff. Why? Why are you afraid that you are people are going to realize that you are poaching? And poaching is like within church, across churches, it's like it's understanding that you just don't do that. Because that's like why, And the other thing is that, like, if you actually when you go to a church, if you're a Christian and you go to a church, it goes, oh, okay, why are you here at our church? Do you have a church you go to? Yeah, so why aren't you there? And they'll go, oh, because of this. And go, listen, go and work that out with your church. We don't want you to come here bringing your baggage, because we don't want to have to deal with your leaders and being the bad guy in this, right? If anything you have a problem with, go sort that out with them. It's the same way, like with my niece and nephews. I say the same thing. It's like, hey, if I say something that you disagree with, go ask mom and dad. Or if somebody else says that, go ask mom and dad. I'm not your parent. I'm your uncle. I ain't your parent. I don't hold the responsibility as your parent. I just hold the responsibility as just your uncle. I'm the guy who turns up with some presents sometimes, chills out for a couple of hours, and goes home. I'm almost like basically a visitor, right? So, but these are someone that stays with you all the time. And so this is what I think this is really creepy about this group, this cult, is that they are very secretive about what they do, but they're very happy to tell you all the good things they do. But they're very secretive about how they do those, how to get their people.
We might not be able to say much about evangelism. What do you think? Would that be more for Alicia, or?
I'm just thinking about the previous question as well. Like, is that something that is accurate?
Oh, when he was talking about.
So the minders themselves are in the back talking, the two ladies, right? I'm just thinking about the previous question as well. Like, is that something that is accurate?
That is accurate.
Oh, when he was talking about.
Oh, I think somebody else is asking. Maybe it's the producer asking. Apologies. It sounds like yeah. I think that's probably why they've got the italics there. I'm just thinking about the previous question as well. Like, is that something that's accurate? So I'd say that it's a producer, right? Because you get the reporter, like the interviewer, and then you get the producer.
That is accurate.
Oh, when he was talking about leaders.
I think it's quite.
I think it's quite maybe off the script. The secretive nature of this cult, man. Right? It's just so secretive, right? Sorry, I forgot I had this up, so you guys didn't see it. But look, I think it's quite maybe off the script. Yeah. Shifter says, but the isolation is only a threat to those tribal peoples. Yeah, but also, like, not always. Like, I know, like in Jehovah's Witnesses, right? That can also be a thing. Mormonism can also be a thing. So whenever anything where they tell you to close off contact with other family members, unless it's a form of danger or violence, yeah, you want to think that's maybe it's a cult, right? And that's why a lot of actual established churches will say that Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, Church of Latter-day Saints, is a cult, because they basically cut off members from other people, right, from the rest of society. But they love to get out there and evangelize. Yeah, I don't want to put that on. I got you. But yeah, it's really yeah, people can say it's not, but you got to look at the listings of what describes a cult and what doesn't, and that's how you'll find out if something's a cult or not. But look at the secret nature of this, right? He went off script, right? Oh, yeah. But look at her face. She's like, shit. These people are weird, man. The interview journalist, right? Because remember, like in the first episode, she was asked to go join them several times to turn up to their, and then she finally said, well, I want to find out about who these people are.
Should I redo it?
Oh, retake. Director, let's do another take, eh? Okay, bro. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what.
This was one of several interruptions during Jarod's interview by Shinchonji's PR person and a senior member.
Can we talk about evangelizing?
Wait. So wrong. So I thought it was a producer, but it's a senior member, right? So the PR person and the senior member. And then she goes, yeah, I think evangelism is fine because you were talking about the events or something. She was saying, so she goes, oh, so you guys are happy, and evangelize, yeah. And he goes, because he brought it up, right? Like he was like, yeah, this is, and then she goes, stop.
I think evangelism is fine because you were talking about the events or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No.
Are you comfortable?
Dude's like nervous as F. Am I going to get the whip after this? Am I going to get a telling too? Remember earlier he said, oh, they tell you, they put you right, where he was talking about his, like that they're his parents or something. It was about here.
Jarod, also known as Thoni, joined 4 years ago. He gave
Believers should verify as well and check. And
do you believe that?
Yes. Yeah.
27-year-old Jarod, also known as Thoni, here at Shinchonji, New Zealand. Before we arrived, we were given a script with questions and pre-prepared answers. I still asked my own questions.
Full-time volunteering.
Do you tithe?
Yep.
Here we go.
During Jarod's interview by Shinchonji's PR person and a senior member.
Can we talk about evangelizing?
Yeah, I think evangelism is fine because you were talking about the events or something.
Look at his eyes. He's going back and forth between the two, the senior member and the PR person, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Poor
yeah,
dude.
No.
Are you comfortable with me asking that?
Yes.
Okay.
When you first asked that, I was trying to think of a way to put it concisely. What I had in mind is evangelism is sharing the joy that we have in the Word with other people.
Oh man, poor kid. He's gonna get a good telling to after this. Cut down a peg or two after this.
More and more, day by day, the Word is reaching across the globe and even into the Pacific.
Do you work?
Yeah, so I have background in nursing, how I've put that aside. So I'm full-time in the church at the moment.
Full-time volunteering?
Yeah, full-time volunteering.
Do you tithe?
Wait. So if he's volunteering, how does he get his money to live? To pay for rent, pay for power, pay for his daily needs, right? And she brings up the tithing thing, right? Remember I said about the 10%? That's all that's required at the max, right? People like to, if they're rich, they give more. It's a volunteer thing. You don't even have to tithe.
I'm in the church at the moment.
Full-time
Yeah.
volunteering?
Yeah, full-time volunteering.
Do you tithe?
Yep, I give the tithe. So in the Bible, it's encouraged 10%.
So where is it coming from, bro? You're a volunteer. Where is your income coming from if you're a volunteer? Who is giving it to you?
As well, but it's less about the amount you give, but more of the heart that you give out of the tithe or the offering.
Tithing is a biblical principle encouraging church members to donate 10% of their income to the church.
If you're a full-time volunteer, how do you tithe?
I tithe, so I've also saved up an amount from working in the world as well, and I'm living on a budget, and I tithe what I can when I can.
Wait, it still doesn't make sense. She goes, if you're a volunteer, where does it come from? And he goes, oh, I've got it saved up. How much have you saved up? So that you're living off your savings, but you're also giving from your savings, but you're not working to replenish your savings.
Obstacle that's come, God's been helping me to navigate, whether it's through being sponsored or someone has come out of.
There you go. So it's a reliance on the richer people that's come in. Like I said, it's other people giving in. So this dude can go out there and get more members for his cult while relying on somebody else to make sure that he's eating and is healthy and gets his bills paid, rather than him working for himself. There's a principle in the Bible, right, that I can remember, but just came to my head just now. He who does not work does not eat. So how that balances, like, well, you volunteer, then these people pay for you. So wouldn't it be better that he would just go and work as a nurse and then go, no, because they got to control every moment of your life.
Family or whatnot.
You mentioned being sponsored.
Yeah. So sometimes when things that I need.
Yeah. So sift. Yeah. Basically, yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. We do have welfare, and that was my thinking in my head, right? That there could be like that. It's like we have a social welfare system. So I don't know how it applies for people like him, right? Who do volunteer work, but have qualifications that they've left. Excuse me, and yet now are basically reliance upon the government, our government, and our taxes. And I'm actually on disability because I have a neck injury and I have a spine injury. So I've never just said that I'm not like that. But so I've actually have like air bubbles in my spine and neck and so on. I walk with a cane and have what have you. So but prior to then I was working all the time, right? So yeah, so this seems, for me personally, I think it feels like there is government funding. I mean, there is social welfare funding, and he's probably applying for unemployment, right? Which is around about maybe $400 a week, New Zealand, not US. So it's only around about 300 US or 250 US, but 400 a week, right? That's about a pretty good amount. So the other thing is that he's getting other people are topping him up because they're chasing everybody, right? And the thing about this is that it's like the weak-minded are the ones that'll come over and give up everything, and the rich will sit on the side and pay for them to do their job. It's normal. It happens in all churches. However, when this happens in a normal church, they'll go, well, why aren't you working, dude? You've got qualifications? Go get a job. Sure, volunteer a couple hours a week, but go work. So just to say, well, one way they do is to get pensioned as on the autism spec. Yeah, by their own doctors. Yeah, I had actually a guy that had nothing wrong with him do that a couple years back when I was down studying for my for my degree, right, in filmmaking. And so I was there for about 6 months, and I was like, there's nothing wrong with this dude. But he would go up to doctor and get like, oh, I'm depressed and stuff. And like I said earlier, right, I was depressed for 2 years, right? And so, sorry, that was the other stream, the music stream. And so, so I understand that, but there's nothing wrong with this dude at all. And it was like, he was just sitting there playing guitar all day, and he would come out and all this, and that was it. And then, but for years, like nothing changing, no therapy or anything like that. It was just reliance upon that. But yeah, it feels like this is one of those cases, and I wonder how many of them are there in New Zealand doing this right now, or on the Pacific Island scene, who are doing this now. Let me backtrack here.
Sometimes when things that I need help with, or
Yeah, I think it's not sorry because this might be.
Yeah. It's basically going that way. It looks like it because he's stepping in again. She goes, no, I understand there's I'm going to play it in a minute, but like, just want to hear those words, right? No, I understand there's a curiosity to know how you get by if you're working full time here. Yeah, how do you live if you're like volunteer? Like you don't get paid. He's not working, he's volunteering his full time, like his every moment of his life to this thing.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Because it's like the curiosity to know, like, how do you get by if you're working full time here.
And I think it'd just be what the audience would be like. Oh, how do you survive? That's kind of a natural question.
No, I feel like I'm putting words in your mouth.
Yeah, dude. So how you because that's like I was just honest with you guys, right? How do you survive, Ari? Well, I used to work full time, then I was in a car accident, and now I can't basically do much at all. But what I do with my time is I work on comic books. I do this couple hours, and that's it. Like a week, and that's about all I can do. And so, right. So, but I'm on a disability, which allow for my injuries. How can't he say that? Or why can't he say how he gets his money? Who's paying for his upkeep? You're the people who put him forward. This is the problem with these cults, right? They think they're smart, but they don't realize that people out here are smarter because they can see through what they're doing. Like I'm not that smart. Like I don't think that I'm that smart, but I could see that there's more to this. And it feels like these people are living off, social welfare and other people's kindness while getting more members to the cult and brainwashing other people of society to do that. Imagine a society like that. We call it socialism, where people basically kind of like have everybody's on the equal. But what happens then with socialism is that like all the people that should be doing like the qualified jobs, they're not doing qualified jobs anymore because like I'm getting a bit sidetracked here by socialism and communism, but like the best thing in society is that you go work and you get paid and then you live off that pay. And if you work harder, you get more. You come up with an idea, you get more. Or, you come up with something that somebody wants, and then you do a campaign on Kickstarter. That's with comics, right? However, even after that, what else? You can't rely on Kickstarter all your life. Well, then you make more of that stuff, and then you go to conventions, and you go to events, and you sell it yourself online. You sell it through your publisher. You try to get into bookstores. You don't rely on that one source. However, it feels like that these guys rely on the one source, which is government. Other people in society's income, taxes paid to them.
Because we wouldn't want anyone to think that they're like pressured to do this, or
Like no one's forced me. Yeah.
But it feels like you are. The fact that you kept having to step in, just let him say his piece and let people make up their own minds. That's how it should be, right?
That's what I've appreciated the most, my autonomy and my choice.
Yeah, but remember, earlier you said, oh, they're like, if I make a mistake, they put me in line. Right? He's like my father, my mom and dad. It's like they point me to the way I need to go. So maybe when you go, hey, I should go back to, I should go to work because I'm not getting enough money. No, you have to do this. You have to volunteer here. Oh, then that's your autonomy, isn't it? Like, yeah. Cult, man.
Sorry, I don't know what's right or wrong.
yeah.
Like I said, weak-minded, doesn't know what's right or wrong to say. He doesn't know what to say. Confusion, man. There's cults prey on weak-minded people, right? He seems a bit like, not all there. Gullible. I shouldn't say not all there, but gullible, right? Because the amount of smiling he does is creepy to me. Seriously, to be honest. I find that creepy. Like smiling, constant smiling seems a bit creepy. Yeah.
A lot of ex-members who have left Shinchonji, New Zealand, say that it's a cult. Is it?
That's not been my experience. I've always felt like this is my decision, and at any time if I'm not comfortable.
Hold on. You don't even ask her what do you mean by a cult? So, which means that you already know what a cult is. That you have an idea of what a cult is. That you'd learned about it. If somebody says to me like, let me see if I can get this right. I usually come up with this freaking thinking and I think like, okay. So you're a writer. What do you mean by that? Do you mean like, do I write movies or what? What's your understanding of the word? Right. That's what I'm trying to get at here. It's like she goes, well, so many people have left here said it's a cult. So what do you think is a cult? Then I'll go, well, okay, well, she'll go, this and this. It goes, well, no, I don't. That doesn't describe what I've been going through. Right. Maybe he's saying that, but I just find like he's so quick to answer, right?
Then I don't have to do it.
I told myself that it was what I wanted, that it must be from God, and it was a chance to.
So this isn't a decult conference, right? Like, so in New Zealand, I'm sure it's everywhere else. People can, get signed up to these events where they go, well, they have cult members speak about what they've been through, and then they talk about how they got out of it and what were the things that you have to be aware of if you're, if you think you're a part of a cult. So this was held on 19th of October, 2024. So this came out only a couple of weeks ago.
That it must be from God, and it was a chance to become the kind of Christian I really wanted to be. I'm seen as a betrayer. So, there's nothing worse than someone who's known the truth and then turned their back on it. A big part of the Bible study is that they have members who are called maintainers, like the girl who I first met, who are actually part of Shinchonji, but they pretend that they're first time learning it just like you. And so
they're like minders, right? So they're basically sheep in wolves' clothing. This is what cults are basically, right? They portray themselves as like good little Christian people, and like this is because of Christian cult, right? So That's what I'm referring to, like Christian, right? So they like to show the world that they're like such and such, right? Then they do great works and the involvement in community and society. And then when you get in there, you realize, as she did, that she's actually this person isn't like me. She's not a newbie like me. She's actually one of them. So she's gonna like try to keep me in line. And basically she's there to convince her to stay, rather than going, I'm not really sure, or maybe we should learn more about it together. But more like, she's part of it. She wants to get her to be a part of it. No questions asked.
So you only find out right before joining the church that actually they're part of this already and have been the whole time.
Certificate of Evangelism. This certificate is awarded to Penina America.
We interviewed Penina on October 4th. 3 weeks later, she was presented with an award at this graduation ceremony in Korea by Lee Man-hee himself for her evangelism, recruiting 14 members to the church.
Graduate Penina America abroad.
So this chick got in 14 people and got a ride to Korea, right? Got a plane trip to Korea to meet this 96-year-old dude who thinks he's the only way to God. What's going to happen when he dies in like a couple of years, right? He's 96. He's not going to last that long. How many? Because it always happens, right? There are people who are so brainwashed that they'll do something crazy. It kind of makes me wonder, like, how many people do crazy stuff when they realize the person who's supposed to be immortal, their way to God, is gone. But this chick got 14 members into the cult, and from probably her family and a extended family, or maybe her friends. And she, her reward is to go to Korea and get a certificate.
14 people.
How long have you been in Shincheonji Church?
For going on to 2 years now. One night I was scrolling on social media and I came across an ad that was advertising a free Bible course. So I clicked on it. I didn't really think much into it. On my first day of going to class, like honestly, I went into...
This was 2022?
Yeah. No, sorry.
When did you start the Bible course? Sorry.
Dude, this chick is so confused. It feels like she's a bit gullible as well. Is this what happens to you when you join this cult? Like, I have problem with memory because I've had head injuries, right? So I usually have to like go think a bit. But this is supposed to be a monumental time for her. Like, she's like, this is when I joined, and this is all my whole life. This cult is my whole life, right? I got to go to freaking Korea and everything. I got 40 members. I should know what day I discovered, or what year, right? At least what year.
Yes.
Sorry, last year. Last year in August.
You finished the...
Wait, so it's only been a year. Is this how they like expand? Because like they try to reward people so quickly, so it's like, is this how they keep them in, by rewarding them so quickly? Like, it's only been a year. Like, here's the thing, right? Like, from my experience, you go through a whole, like, in Christianity, you go through a whole lot of studying. You get a whole lot of like leadership events, especially if you're going to go towards like, if you want to be a youth leadership groups and, join, like if you want to, they want, you need to know what the hell you're on about before you start stepping up to tell other people, where to go. But it just feels weird. Like, both of these people are so controlled. Like, that dude was controlled. she was controlled earlier, and we're up to here about 20 minutes. So we'll finish this. Once this video finishes, we'll finish, and then we'll come back for the third episode. But wow.
The Bible course, so 6 to 8 months, that would be around April, and then you get an opportunity to join the church.
Yes.
So you've been a member of the church for about 5 months now. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. Sorry. I like to say over a year because of being in the course. I already felt like a member.
And graduate Penina America abroad, 14 people.
The dates didn't seem to add up. New recruits must complete Shinchonji's 8-month Bible course first before being allowed to become members. I asked Shinchonji if Penina had. They didn't respond.
In Shinchonji, a lie isn't necessarily a lie.
Oh,
a lie could.
This is like what I've been learning about Islam, right? Tafiq. I think it's Tafiq. I might be wrong in the term there, but hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I just learned this recently. Like you're allowed to lie, right? In Islam, you're allowed to lie. What is it? What is the term for lying? To hide one's faith. One's motives, right? One's motive in Islam. Maybe I should have used ChatGPT, but let's see if this will bring it up. Is it Tafiq? Yeah. Taqiya. It's it here. I'll put this up on the screen so you guys can see. Taqiya. So it's in Islam, Taqiya is a practice of dissimulation and secrecy of religious belief and practice primarily in Shia Islam, not Sunni. Shia. Shia is the one who are all committing all the terrorism, right? The Shia. That's why when I talk about Islam, I don't go to Muslims, the people, right? I talk about Islam, the ones who are doing all the terrible things. So the use of Taqiya has varied in recent history, especially between Sunni and Shia Muslims. Sunni Muslims gained political supremacy over time and therefore only occasionally found the need to practice Taqiya. On the other hand, Shia Muslims as well as Sufi Muslims developed Taqiya as a method of self-preservation and protection in hostile environments. Basically, if you're in the West, so you lie, right? So that is a term, Taqiya. So these guys are practicing Taqiya very, very much, a lot.
To fulfill God's will.
Other ex-Shinchonji members echoed this claim.
They kind of encourage people to lie.
They use scripture to make up these things, and they'll be lying to you.
It's okay if you're trying to win somebody to the Lord.
Things that they use were saying, look, lying is good. Like, if you're lying for God, it's actually a good thing.
I mean, the whole
lying is a sin. Plain and simple, right? Do not give false evidence. Right. Let me just check this out. So in Christianity, right? In Christianity, remember this is supposed to be a Christian cult. I mean Christian-based religion. In Christianity, is lying a sin? Okay. Okay, I'm going to go to, let's see. let's do this one instead of like Wiki. Wiki's like falsifies a lot of stuff, so I don't like relying on Wikipedia. So let's use this one. So what's this? What does the Bible say about lying? The Bible is clear that lying is a sin and is displeasing to God. There you go. That's what I said. Like, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Damn, those studies came in handy. All those 20 years back. So the Bible is clear that lying is a sin and displeasing to God. The first sin in this world involved a lie told to Eve. That's the first sin, lying. The 10 Commandments given to Moses includes, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Like I said, Taqiya, right? Taqiya. Islam practices Taqiya, lying as well. Right? Generally, Taqiya is regarded as an action of maintaining secrecy or mystifying one's beliefs or in one's life or property is threatened. Hiding one's beliefs in non-Muslim nations has been practiced since the early days of Islam, and early Muslims used to avoid torture or getting killed by non-Muslims and tyrants with authority. It just be acknowledged, yeah, this is like bullshit, because most of the killing was done by Muslims and Islamists. Honestly, if you there's three things that what was it like? There's three things that hold on. When a Muslim country conquers you, you either join them or you pay money, a life tax, or you get killed. So it's not actually, they're not doing it to protect themselves. They're doing it to protect, to get more people on their side. So yeah, we were here with this dude. Oh, Sepik.
Things that they use was saying, look, lying is good. Like, if you're lying for God, it's actually a good thing.
I mean, the whole system is built on reporting. You're constantly getting reported on. You're completely unaware of it, but the maintainers, the plants in the class, are reporting on you and how you're doing.
To who?
To, well, me as a leader. And we would also report to like the head of the ministry.
What did people report to you? What kind of detail?
Well, anything really that they think might be relevant, and even things that are completely irrelevant, like really personal.
Imagine being in part of a group that someone's spying you on your time. It's basically communism, right? You basically have, it's like KGB, right? When they were doing that, like you call up and go, such and such is doing this, such and such is doing this. Okay. In Nazi Germany, kids used to tell on their parents. And then having to watch their parents be taken away or get shot or killed. And so imagine a hostile environment, imagine an environment so hostile that you're constantly watching what you say. That's why I say there's a very controlling cult, right? This is they try to portray themselves as a Christian thing, or a free religion thing, right? But really, it's really about control over every moment of one of their members' lives. Did she say people were coming to her and telling them about what other person was doing because she was a leader, right? She's an ex-senior member.
Personal details that a student might be sharing with who they think is their friend are just about things that they're going through, and all of that is getting reported to the teachers and then other leaders, and nothing is a secret. And I felt a bit uncomfortable with that, but I also thought this is how we're helping each other. Like, I thought it was important.
How do you feel about that, knowing what you know now?
Well, it makes me really sad, because obviously I no longer think that it's the truth. it's like you're going through something that no one on the outside can understand. You're on this mission together to save the world. It's kind of intoxicating. But my day-to-day life was not happy. It was really desperate and sad.
After 3 months of chasing, we've had a bit of a breakthrough. Last night, I get a text at around 10 p.m. that Christy is available to meet me right then and there at my local McDonald's just down the road, and not for an interview, just for a chat. So I've asked to reschedule for this morning, and we're going to go down and meet her.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you for meeting this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please have a sit.
All right, that ends part 2. We'll be back with part 3 next time. But wow, just wow. We call that narking in New Zealand. Being a narc, I'm sure, like, you know, NARK, RC in America and all that, right? Right? What was that? Snitches gets stitches kind of thing, prison. Imagine that sort of environment where you're basically having to watch everything you say. You can't trust anyone. Your daily life is controlled all the time. There's something else I just thought of and slipped my mind. But not only that you're not allowed to, that you have to be like you're not supposed to contact your family unless you're there to evangelize them, right? To get them over to the cult. And you have a target of reaching a certain number of people to evangelize, to get over to join the cult. And then you get rewarded. It's weird shit. Like, seriously, I've never been, like, I've been around different churches in my lifetime, right? Past, I guess, apart from the last 20 years, right? Previous to the last 20 years, I've been in several churches. Nobody's ever said you need to get people to join us, ever. Right? If I wanted to, like, dude, you know, this is what I am about now. So if you're interested, let me know, or, you know, want to come along. It was never about I gotta like write off, like, oh, I got 1 today, tomorrow I got 2. Oh yeah, I got 40 now. I'm gonna go to Korea. It's so weird. These people not realizing, and then I realized, like, that their environment of fear. Because remember earlier on, the guy was saying that, like, that if you leave, then your family will go to hell because we hold the key to heaven. So that's crazy, man. Like, I feel sorry for people who get trapped in these things, and that's why I want to talk about this one, because I don't really care much about cults, right? But I think I care more about people, to be honest. I care about people's eyes being open, and, like, I don't like seeing people hurt. I don't know. It's like you know, just hearing stories and stuff really makes me feel queasy and feel really, you know, bums me out, right? Like, the lowest denominator. It makes me feel bummed out. And, like, it's like there's certain movies I want to watch because I just don't want that in my head, right? Or I don't like seeing, like, people in pain. But I think it's really, this cult is so, it's like having a blanket on you and squeezing the life out of you, right? It's like a depression. Like, you know, if you've ever felt depression, it's like a dark blanket over you, and you feel like you never can get out. This cult feels like that. It's like, for these people, looking at them, you know, like, there's someone always there minding what you do. And then even the people that come next to you, to, you know, who you think are not part of the cult, are part of the cult, and they're all trying to get you in there without you realizing that they're part of the cult. And you think there's your friend, but they're not your friend. They're watching over you like a spy. right? They're keeping notes on you all the time. So we'll come back with issue 3. We'll come back with part 3, and we'll see how it goes with that senior member, the Korean senior member. And but yeah, I'm just worried, like, what happens when their leader dies. This guy who's supposed to be like immortal, he's 96, and over like 40, about 42 years, he's been able to build up this huge cult following as the only way to God. The thing is, like, if you are like, and I'm not a Christian, right, and I'm not religious, but if you are searching, the only thing, and you want to think about God and churches or whatever, just read the damn Bible. That's it. Make up your own damn mind about the shit, but read that. Don't start believing other idiots who are like, I know the answer. Just read the Bible. Find in there whatever you want to find, because there's good things and there's things you might not might agree with or whatever, but at least not listen to some dude, right, who tells you I'm the only way to God, right? Because I think it's just, you got to be really freaking careful nowadays. Like, people want so much out of other people, and they know how to manipulate. Like, she got in through the internet. All right, there's actually internet cults, I found out. Right, so some documentaries, and it's like cults around internet, right, and where people are being part of cults just by being online. It's really weird. But thank you for hanging out with me today. If you didn't catch the first part, it's over here. Links in the chat here, right at the top. You can get to that, or just pop over to the YouTube channel and check it out. It's a part 1. It's listed there as part 1, and we'll be back with part 3 in the future. And we'll catch you next time. Taqiya. Have an awesome day. Happy New Year if you're just seeing, popped in today for the first time. We did have an earlier music stream, but wherever you are, be well and keep an open mind about things. Don't question everything, right? That's been my goal for the last 20 years. It's like, question everything. Don't just accept whatever's been told to you. All right, catch you later.